everybody, a long time no see. My name is Megan. I like tea. I also tend to ramble, and this is Tea Time Rambles, where I basically sit down with a nice cup of tea and just talk. So today's tea is from Dryad Tea. I am drinking Rasberry Imp, and a little description on it says, this delicious blend is raspberry to its very core. It's bright, playful, and fruity, full of tang and attitude. Just like the other teas in this line, it's all imp. There's a few other whatever fruit imp themed teas sold by the shop, and the ingredients in this tea are green tea, raspberry pieces, rose petals, calendula petals, I always stumble over that ingredient for some reason, and natural flavors. And as memory serves, I went on a little tangent in the previous video, my little reintroduction, about the background camera quality changing as I experiment and so on and so forth, so I won't bore you with that for a second time, for this may be a ramble video. I want to stay relatively on theme, and I got my little being a rider is easy mug. It's like riding a bike, except the bike is on fire, you're on fire, everything is on fire. Yep, sounds about right to me, and bottoms up. Still hot, still very hot. I'm not picking up the raspberry too much. That could be user error on my part. Like, maybe I didn't steep it long enough, maybe the scoops of loose leaf tea that I took didn't have a lot of strawberry pieces in them. I don't know. That sample probably has enough to get another 2 cups of tea out of it, so could turn out different the next cup I make. Not to say that's bad, it's still a tasty green tea, just I'm not personally picking up on a lot of raspberry flavor. Still, I'll happily have another cup of this. So just figured I should do a little trigger warning-esque warning. This video is going to be talking about cancer for a bit. Nothing like super dark, nothing like graphic, but cancer is going to be mentioned, as well as briefly my experience with it. Brief mentions of tests, nothing in detail, nothing in gory, graphic detail, just mentions, but if just the whole topic of cancer alone is a sensitive subject for you, this video might not be for you. Like I said, nothing is graphic, nothing is in detail, just a brief, like, skimming of my experience, if that makes sense. Just want to throw that out there before I go too much further into the topic. So, time to go into our rambly subject of today, which if I'm titling this when I am thinking about titling it, it's probably going to come off as clickbaity. I literally couldn't think of anything else to title this as. It was just to the point, which is, my cancer doctor fired me. Which, want to reiterate this now, I do not currently have cancer. This requires a little preamble to this ramble. So back in 2006, November 2006, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was 15 years old, which at this point feels like a fucking lifetime ago. Holy shit. That was literally like over half my lifetime ago at this point. And that is really goddamn weird to say. But yeah, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 15 years old back in 2006. Which was definitely a weird way to start off my high school career. Missing like half the year because I was out dealing with cancer. Very weird time, very weird experience. But yeah, I went through about 6 months of chemo and 3 weeks to a month of radiation, I think. This was over 15 years ago. Details are fuzzy. I don't have the best memory. That whole time is kind of vaguely fuzzy. Didn't help that most of the time I didn't know what the hell the doctors were saying half the time because all that medical mumbo-jumbo was just going over my head. But yeah, went through chemo, went through radiation, had a pretty easy time with chemo, at least in my opinion. I feel like I got off really easy. I didn't have a whole lot of, like, negative side effects. You know, I lost my hair, obviously. I had some fatigue, but not, like, crazy levels of fatigue. I don't remember. Had to get a couple blood transfusions because my cell count was too low. My white cell count, I believe it was. Details are fuzzy. I'm going to probably be saying that a lot. And yeah, just relatively treatment-wise, I got off lucky. Because I believe April is when I finished up my treatments. And I was able to go back to school full-time after that. And even went to school on and off throughout treatment, depending on how I was feeling at the time. I don't think I finished out full days most of the time, but I would do like half days when I felt up to it, and I had a tutor and schoolwork sent home with me and whatever to help me so I could continue on and not be held back. Which was nice. It was nice being able to move forward a grade with my friends, because that would really suck otherwise. I'm glad I got to avoid that. But yeah, April, went back to classes full-time, May, June, and dealt with everything. So basically what I'm saying with this little preamble, ramble, is this happened a while ago. And as part of my continued treatment, there was a few years where I would go back every few months for various tests. PT scans, CT scans, PFTs, pulmonary function tests, basically testing and making sure my lungs are okay, because my tumor was in my chest cavity, so they want to make sure the lungs are doing good, especially since one of the medicines I had to take, I think it was bleomycin, I details fuzzy, was known to be rough on the lungs. I didn't take all the bleomycin because they didn't want to risk, a 15-year-old's lungs being permanently damaged for the rest of their life, especially when it wasn't needed, but they still wanted to keep an eye on that. Echocardiogram of my heart, because tumor was there, and also I had radiation to my chest, so they wanted to keep an eye on that. And routine blood work, x-ray, just went through this gauntlet of tests, like, one day every few months. And then, after a certain point of time, it went to a few more months. Like, it went from, 3 to 4 months to 6 months. And then, eventually, it went to twice a year. Or was it once a month, then every 3 months, then every 6 months? It was one of those two. Regardless, the further out from my initial treatment that I got, the longer each appointment could go. And then eventually I got to once a year. Once I got to a certain point, I wasn't going all the way to the cancer center that I got treatment at. I went to Dana-Farber in Boston. Great place, awesome people. But, got to the point where, I really don't want to go into Boston every day. That's a long commute. But the hospital where my primary care works has a cancer center, so I was able to go there to, continue to see people. I didn't have to do all the tests there because they felt, you're far out enough that we don't need to do this gauntlet of tests. Which suited me just fine because it was nice not being poked and prodded as much every X amount of time, because that sucked. I'm not good with needles. Ugh. Fewer needles makes a happier Megan. But instead, they're like, because, my treatment, getting radiation and whatnot, they want to keep an eye on, any potential chance of breast cancer forming, so I started getting yearly mammograms in my, God, when did I start getting those? I think my late 20s. Time is weird. Time is an illusion. So I was getting that every year on top of seeing a person every year, getting my blood work done, addressing any concerns that might have popped up, and so on and so forth. So, it was a win-win for me. Less poking and prodding, fewer appointments, and a closer-to-home appointments, so I'm not spending, the entire day at the hospital, which, win-win-win in my book. So, I've been going there for a good while now, I feel like 10-ish years now, maybe? Has it been 10 years? So I've been going there at this other hospital. I'm not going to say where because I'm not doxing myself. Been going there to, just have yearly check-ins for a while now. There, I was going twice a year, and then a few years back it started going once a year because it's you're far out enough from your treatment that we're feeling pretty good about this once a year thing, especially since you haven't had any complications pop up that concern us, which I am grateful for. Holy shit, I am thankful for. The longest after effect from my treatment is my thyroid's a little weird. I can't remember which term it is. I keep getting hypo and hyper mixed up, but I am medicated for it and haven't had any issues with it. So, if that's the worst I got for a lasting effect, I'm happy with that. And apparently my doctors were happy with that because they're like, yeah, you can come back once a year. And last year, the doctor I saw was telling me, you're far out enough, you're still young, and you haven't had like any concerning signs or anything, that you don't have to keep coming back here if you don't want to. Not that I'm not happy to see you or anything, but this isn't as necessary as it might have been before. And when they brought that up, I'm like, yeah, but anxiety is a bitch, and it felt good going there, especially since it's not like it is far out of my way, it doesn't take up that much time. Even if I'm just popping in and being like, yeah, nothing's fine, no new concerns, my lab's looking good, cool, out the door, see you next year. It wasn't like it was that much of a chore to do. A little inconvenient sometimes, but not much of a chore. My insurance covers it, so it's not like I'm paying a small fortune to do this. And just that peace of mind of having that extra person keeping an eye on, like, any health things felt good. It felt relieving to me, because anxiety is a bitch. And just at that time, anything that felt like it was easing the anxiety, I wanted to keep doing, because obviously who wants to feel anxious, right? So I'm like, yeah, no, I want to keep coming because it makes me feel more calm, knowing that I have an extra appointment each year where if something comes up, there's a better chance of catching it than if I just went to my primary care each year, which I do. And my primary care and my cancer appointment were relatively spaced out. Usually they're about half a year apart, so it's like, cool. 6 months there, 6 months later, I see the other one, so if something drastically changed in that time, there's a better chance of it being caught. That was like my logic. Because my original diagnosis was caught by, like, I can't say pure happenstance looking back, but it was caught earlier than it would have been otherwise because of my primary care at the time. Earlier today was my yearly check-in with oncology, and I was seeing someone a bit different. I don't know all the details about the woman I usually see, not there, so I was seeing someone else, which, no big. Like I said, my appointments are never a big deal. They take some blood to do some blood work, pop in, oh hey, you have any concerns, any pain, any issues, use a stethoscope, check the heart, the lungs, all that, make sure everything's good and dandy, and then, cool, see you later, bye. Then they brought up, and they work closely with the woman I usually see. And they also brought up, it's like, so, gotta ask, why are you here? And we are putting the tea on the desk because I just spilled some on me. So, gonna tell the rest of the story without the tea so I don't spill any more of it. Well, that sucks. I just washed these sweatpants too. Great. Good job, Megan. Well, at least I didn't get on the floor. Anyway, where was I? They basically asked, like, so why are you here? Like, we typically don't see people out this far in your situation. Like, you're looking pretty good, you say you're feeling good, no real issues have come up since your diagnosis and since you finished treatment, and basically just doing the spiel that my previous doctor had given me the year or two before. And this has been something that I was thinking about relatively recently, in fact, leading up to this appointment. It's like, maybe I don't need to go every year. I mean, worst case, if something does feel off, I can either message them or my PCP and ask to be seen, ask to be looked at. And I know they'd set me up right away. They'd take that seriously. They'd take that seriously and get me whatever testing or help I need to figure out what the hell is wrong. And so, after some thoughts, I agreed with them. It's like, okay, maybe I don't need to come every year. Which felt scarier than I thought it would to, like, vocalize. Because, like I've been pretty much saying and alluding to, there was that comfort in going every year. It helped some health anxiety, and yeah. But I definitely could see their point of view. It's like, you're you've been out of treatment for a long time, like over 15 years, and there's been no complications that we need to really keep an eye on. You seem to be doing good. You feel confident in how you're doing. It's like, why keep coming in if you don't have to? Especially since I go to all my other, like, yearly checkups. So it's not like this is the lone healthcare appointment I have a year. So yeah, I agree that, you have a point. I don't need to keep coming in. And then, as I was getting ready to leave, he's like, hey, there are definitely worse things than being fired by your cancer doctor. So I was fired as a patient. It's a really surreal feeling. Because going to these various appointments has been like a part of my life for like more than half my life. So that's just very weird, knowing that I'm not doing that anymore. That's one less appointment that I have a year. And this was an appointment that I thought I'd be going to for the rest of my life, because years and years ago, when I was still like early on in my like recovery, post treatment and all that, the way things were described to me, it made it seem like I'd be going back every year for the rest of my life. And who knows, maybe back then they thought I would be, because you never know what could happen. But because of how smoothly things have gone and all that, it's just weird and surreal. It's freaking weird. It's so weird. And I'm happy. Like, I am happy that that's one less appointment that I gotta remember and plan around each year. Like, on my end, it sounds like I'm upset. Like, it sounds like I might cry in certain parts of me talking over the past, like, couple minutes, but I'm not upset, so I'm just so weirdly conflicted right now. But yeah, it's fucking weird. It is really fucking weird. In the best way. In the best way. And I know, I'm not fully escaping things. I am going to be monitored in some form for the rest of my life, be it my blood work, mammogram, all that. But that's very routine, at least to me at this point. And it's different than having to, like, go to the oncology department of a hospital and just kind of sit there. It was always weird going there every year, because I was always the youngest in the room whenever I would go in. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm the youngest by bare minimum 15 years. So I always felt so out of place there. So yeah, I got fired by my cancer doctor. I have graduated out of that point in my life, which, damn. I don't fully know how I feel. And so here I am, talking to my camera and in turn you guys. As I felt the need to ramble about that, because it's a weird experience. It's a weird feeling. Like I said, in the best possible way it is, but it's not something I thought would happen, I thought and expected I'd be doing these appointments for the rest of my life. And I was fine with that, because, I'd rather schedule out a time and a day and all that to go to that appointment to make sure things are okay than not, and risk, something popping up and progressing. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I do always fall under the umbrella of better safe than sorry. Yeah, I guess it was just that second doctor who helped cement that feeling of, maybe I don't need to keep doing this. I guess I just needed that, like, second opinion, in a way, to drive home the fact that maybe I don't really need this. Maybe I can be fine not having this, like, official appointment and just keep a closer eye on health things. I feel like I've rambled long enough and that I am just repeating myself now, so yeah. Tea Time Rambles are back, videos are back. For those of you who stuck around this long, thank you so much. I'm hoping that future Ramble videos aren't this sad. Doesn't feel like the right word, but the overall topic is kind of gloomier, because cancer. I mean, definitely more positive because it's more on the I don't have to keep going to see my oncologist, but yeah, I don't know. this is kind of a not positive video, kind of is a positive video based on how you want to look at it, I guess, but you know, enough rambling. Enough rambling. Thank you so much if you stuck around this long, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.